Hello and welcome everyone to another episode. Yes, so some of you might be wondering when we are going to Jewel. I have a few subscriber questions or whatever to answer. I will be mentioning all this stuff. I think I might have just said Jewel, not Jewel, Duna. Yeah, Duna, it's Duna. So I've been a little busy these last couple days. If you guys haven't noticed, I mean, I've been uploading 2 videos a day here and there. Wednesday I took a little bit of a break because I was just exhausted from the amount of work I've been putting in with Delta V without tears. It's coming along pretty freaking nicely. That's all I can say. I really did a lot to it, and working with Excel isn't one of my strongest points, so it's really been kind of crazy. I really feel like this is going to be a really cool thing, and I'm planning on releasing it with a string of tutorials attached to it, which is going to be like kind of the advanced rocket design tutorials and stuff like that, and you know, really getting in depth with the game a little bit more compared to my previous tutorials, which a few people have commented on, and a lot of people say stuff like, oh well, that's not how you get to orbit, or that's you know, whatever, something along those lines, like, oh well, that is the crappiest. Somebody just recently said like, oh, that's a really bad way to get to orbit, and I agreed with them completely. And a lot of the things that it has to fall back on 2 things, and when I am really looking at designing a tutorial, at least at those times, was I wanted to keep it simple and easy. So when somebody who's new to the game, who doesn't understand that you need to do an orbital turn, or you need to do, which I haven't even done myself right now, I didn't do it that well. I've been trying to really work out how to do it, and you know, like, even for myself, I find it a little bit engaging to a point, because of the fact that I don't use mods, because of the fact that I don't have all the bells and whistles and everything else attached to my game. So it's kind of hard to really do it manually at some points because of that. But most of that stuff I really want to cover in that tutorial. The Delta V without tears, the one thing I will mention, and at least at this current state, it's going to be more designed for rockets that are already in space, as opposed to something that's taking off and stuff like that, because it really has like, I really don't understand all the equations fully, and I'm not talking about simple like Delta V calculations and stuff like that, but really integrating it and working it into an Excel spreadsheet is kind of a hard thing to do, considering there's a lot of variables with this game, and there's a lot of things that otherwise wouldn't really work out the right way with certain things. So really working and getting it just right is going to be somewhat of a problem. Now, the other thing I want to mention is I got 2 questions asked to me, one of them being, what was it? Let's see, I remember one off the top of my... Alright, somebody asked me, how did I encounter Kerbal Space Program? Where did I basically find this game, and how did I start playing it? Yogscast Sips. I have been subscribed to Yogscast ever since they were basically in the transition from World of Warcraft to Minecraft, which a lot of people didn't know, as they used to do like videos for World of Warcraft and stuff like that back in the day, and just doing commentary over, I think, like boss fights and stuff like that. And so I really was... yeah, I was pretty intrigued with this game when I first saw it, when Sips was playing it. I played it, I went and I bought it, and I played it for about a day, And this was before docking and a lot of pretty much every update after docking. So at that point in the game, there really wasn't a lot to do. It was sort of boring a little bit in certain ways. So I wasn't really too... I played it for maybe about an hour or two, and I was like, this is cute, whatever, I'm done. And I stopped playing. And then as time progressed and they changed the command modules over, we lost the Mark 1 cockpit, and a lot of stuff changed, was when I reached the point of like, okay, well, now they put docking in the game, and then I started learning how to do these things. And that's when I was like, okay, so this is a new game. It's kind of like Minecraft. It does have a pretty big community behind it, and a lot of people are really liking this game the way it is now. And I figured, because a long time ago when Minecraft was like really basically in its infancy in a way, I was considering doing videos then of Minecraft when it was, Let's Plays were kind of a new thing, and basically a lot of stuff involving YouTube and everything else was just kind of a new thing. And I never really got myself involved with it so much, and I really wanted to, but the fact that I didn't have a good microphone, the fact that I didn't have basically really a computer to do it on. I mean, I did have a computer to do it on, but I couldn't really use it, and it just wasn't really that great of a computer. After it was a custom computer I built about 10 years ago, so you're talking Minecraft when it was like officially open for playing and everything else, when they released it on the market. You're talking like I think it was like maybe 4 years ago or something like that. I remember it was like maybe 2010-ish, 2009. I mean, I'm not 100% certain on this, because I know somebody's gonna be like, Minecraft has been around since 2007 or 2009 or 2010, whatever it was. That's basically around the time when I started playing it. It was somewhere. I definitely played it all the way up until the end, and then I kind of got sick of the game, but that's a different story. So I wanted to do it then, and I basically missed ever doing it, and I just didn't really know how to go about setting up videos and doing any of that stuff. And then once this game came out, once this game came out, and like the update just hit there, where I kind of was like, well, I could do videos for this game. Even though this game is a lot more complex than Minecraft, it would still be fun. So that's, I went out, I got basically at that time I got my taxes back and stuff like that. So I had a little bit of money, and I went out and bought myself a decent microphone. I gave a little bit of money to a couple of my friends to help me out with software and stuff like that, and then after that, I mean, the rest, as far as the recordings and everything else that I've been doing and everything else this entire year, has been spawns of that. So the other thing that that's kind of the end of the question. I mean, there's a lot more I could go in depth with it, but somebody else asked me, have I always been into space and really thought space was like kind of the coolest thing or what have you. Yes and no. I used to go through these kind of spurts where I was obsessed with it, and then I wouldn't be obsessed with it, and I just didn't care, and it would just kind of go through in spurts. Like when I was younger, Hale-Bopp was a comet that passed by, and that's when I really got exposed for the first time to just space and everything else, and the fact that these kinds of things existed. And the moon landings and stuff like that. I mean, I was I was a child, so I was still really unbelievably blown away by the idea of a man landing on the moon. But when Hale-Bopp came by, I remember taking pictures of it with a little crappy camera I had. I'm taking pictures of the sky with a regular camera. So basically every picture after, or with this little camera that I took, they all came out blank. It's basically just a black sky with like a little white spot in the middle, and you're talking a camera where you actually had to get the film developed. So it wasn't like a digital camera or anything like that. Then Apollo 13, the movie came out, and I got really into that, and I thought that was such a cool thing, even though it was kind of the first space, incident tragedy that was at least public, and something that happened actually in space like that. I mean, I know there was Apollo 1, and then you had all the Russian incidents that were a little crazy, but most of that stuff was blocked out from the Cold War. We didn't know about it until many years later, and that's the old stuff that I can basically remember with the Apollo 13, and then I think about 3 or 4 years later is when they announced the ISS, and like the idea of building this massive space stations and collaboration throughout the world of building a massive space station, and I was just blown away by that, and it got me into space again. I used to read about comets, meteors, and asteroids. I used to get these books from the library when I was like in 6th and 7th grade. Basically, I can't remember the name of the books, but they were all basically by the exact same publisher and author, and basically they would have like pictures of different space things, or they were all on different subjects. You could get them about dinosaurs or inventions or war stuff or something, and it had the pictures and like a little brief description, and each page was just filled with these different objects and things and spacesuits, and or if it was about guns, there would be all the different guns and stuff, or whatever it was. And I used to always get those books, and I would read about them, and then I would do reading into, it was all science textbooks and stuff like that, and I got really heavy into it, and then, it would fade over time here and there, and then there would be these, like, massive announcements. I remember Sojourner, when that got announced, I believe the first rover on Mars. I was about to say Duna. I remember seeing that stuff and, reading about it, and it was just these, like, huge things that are monumental, but yet, like, almost everybody takes them for, like, absolutely granted, like, they don't even care. So it was kind of like, I was always obsessed with it in some kind of a way, and, seeing what we're doing and where we're progressing to. And I just thought it was the most amazing thing, and I never understood why people were more fascinated by these kinds of things. It's huge undertakings, and I just never understood that. And where did it go from there? I can't remember fully. I always kind of followed the ISS a little bit, and then the space shuttle was another amazing thing. And then once I hit, like, I think about 11th or 12th grade in high school, I ended up having like a science, or I can't remember what it was called, but it was kind of like a technology class. And one of the things we ended up going through is like, the Gemini program, the Mercury program, Apollo, and I keep forgetting the fourth one. There's one of them I know that's in there. I can't remember where it goes, or even the name of it. I just suck because I just don't remember that. I should really look it up, that way I don't sound like completely like an idiot. But I remember going through each one of these, and then we were watching movies that were based off of the missions, and we were learning about every one of the astronauts going up. And then we ended up watching From the Earth to the Moon, like the entire series, to each class. We were watching that, and it just got me really into the going to the moon and just seeing the moon and all that other it was just amazing. That's all I can say. And there were other documentaries that we watched as well, and my teacher actually let me use the DVDs like from the Earth to the Moon just to watch them because I wanted to. So it was pretty awesome with that, and I'm glad a lot of these documentaries are coming out, and they're getting more in depth with everything, and it's just been amazing. I'm sorry that we're just floating in space, but I really want to answer this question because it is kind of important to me that I make sure I get answered, but also just to give you guys the answer. Then, it kind of dwindled over time, and I didn't really follow much space-related activities for a while. I was still watching the ISS and stuff, and, I think they kind of announced it officially done after a certain point. I can't remember, but I think it was like a few years back, and yeah, I mean, other than that, and then, the Curiosity rover, I really feel like this is the first time that any space probe or anything that we have ever launched has actually gotten some kind of recognition compared to anything else, other than, obviously, the moon landings, and, you don't really hear about anything else about it. It's like, it almost reminds me of back right after we landed on the moon, maybe the first or the second time, where the media just basically blackballed NASA to the point where no coverage was even given to NASA whatsoever for even going to the moon. So it's a little upsetting in a way, but at the same time, you see a lot of people now that really want to know. They want to understand it. They want to go out there and try to figure some of these things out for themselves and really try to understand what's going on and the physics and just everything else. So I'm going to cover this craft a little bit. This is basically the Kerbal Refueler that I've launched many, many, many times, and I think, but I'm not sure, we are going to be able to make it there just on this fuel. This is all that is going to go there. I ended up adding a docking port at the end, and I changed this whole front piece here. The Kerbal, the Duna, wow, I'm like mixing everything up, and yes, I just snapped my fingers. The Duna fuel depot has the very small junior size docking ports to the regular size, and we don't have one of these with us, so I decided to launch that with this. It really isn't that much weight, so I wasn't concerned. I didn't even put struts on it because whatever, it's not that big of a deal. So I think I'm going to launch it as is, and I really, maybe I'll go through and top off these tanks. I mean, we really didn't use a lot of fuel. I'm not too concerned about it, but, if anything, maybe I'll slap on an extra fuel tank on the end, but I'm thinking that I really don't have to do anything with that. So we will be launching here very, very soon. Once we get the 200th episode, a lot of these videos are just going to be getting stuff into orbit up until the 200th episode, so I should mention that. And so I apologize if some of you were getting a little bit giddy with me just getting stuff into orbit and not doing very much with it afterwards, and just launching new things over and over and over again. So we'll be soon on our way to Duna, and there will be a lot of work once we get there as far as setting up everything, moving stuff around, and just generally taking care of everything. It's going to be a very, very big undertaking. So anyways, guys, the feature of the week is Mr. Plastic Sporks. So at the end of this video, in the upper right hand corner, if you want to, go and check out his videos. Plays Kerbal just like me. He's doing a bunch of different kinds of stuff and everything else. If you like what you see here, subscribe. There's always more to come. To all you new people, welcome. And yeah, I will see you next time.